Archangel message. Have you ever felt that strange moment when everything around you seems ordinary, yet something deep inside quietly whispers, "Stop for a second." Don't ignore that feeling today. Before you move on, before you answer the next phone call, open the next message, or agree to the next request, stay with me for a few moments. I truly believe God may be using this very moment to help you see something your eyes cannot yet recognize. Tomorrow may look like every other day, but not everything that appears good is sent to bless you. Some doors shine brightly only because they are hiding shadows behind them. There are moments in life when heaven gently interrupts our routine. The Bible reminds us to test every spirit and seek wisdom before we act. That is why I want you to listen carefully. Within the next day, someone or something may suddenly appear in your path. At first, it could seem like the answer you've been praying for. It may sound exciting. It may even look like the breakthrough you've begged God to send. But appearances can be convincing, and not every opportunity carries God's fingerprints. The request may come through a text message, a phone call, an unexpected visit, or even a conversation that seems completely harmless. Someone could ask for your help. Someone could invite you into a new opportunity. Someone might tell you that only you can solve their problem. Everything may happen so naturally that you won't immediately question it. Yet before you say yes, pause, pray. Give your heart enough time to hear God's direction instead of reacting to pressure. You have spent so much of your life carrying burdens that were never meant to belong to you. You have become the dependable one, the person everyone calls when life falls apart. Friends lean on you. Family depends on you. Even strangers seem drawn to your kindness. Your heart has always been quick to comfort people who were hurting, even while your own heart quietly carried wounds no one noticed. God has seen every sacrifice you made when nobody thanked you. He has watched every silent tear you wiped away before anyone else could see it. Because your heart is compassionate, you often believe helping everyone is your responsibility. But compassion without wisdom can leave even the strongest soul exhausted. The enemy understands this better than most people realize. He cannot always tempt faithful people through obvious evil. Sometimes he simply places endless demands in front of generous hearts until they become too tired to recognize God's voice. That is why tomorrow deserves your attention. Someone may approach you carrying urgency instead of peace. They may insist there is no time to think. They may convince you that everything depends on your immediate answer. Listen carefully. God rarely leads his children through panic. His guidance brings peace, even when the decision is difficult. Fear rushes. Faith waits. Maybe you've noticed something changing inside yourself lately. Perhaps sleep has become harder. Maybe you felt emotionally drained without understanding why. Perhaps there has been a quiet heaviness resting on your shoulders. Instead of assuming those feelings mean weakness, ask God whether He is preparing your spirit to notice something important. Sometimes the Holy Spirit quietly alerts us before our minds fully understand what is happening. Remember how many times in the past you ignored that uncomfortable feeling because you didn't want to disappoint someone. You smiled when your heart wanted to step back. You agreed when every part of you wanted to say no. Later, you realized you had sacrificed your own peace just to keep someone else comfortable. Those experiences were painful, but they were not meaningless. God can use every lesson to strengthen your discernment. This season is different. Heaven is inviting you to protect what God has been restoring inside you. Your peace is valuable. Your strength is valuable. Your time is valuable. Not because you are better than anyone else, but because God entrusted those gifts to you. You cannot keep pouring from an empty cup forever. If someone tries to convince you that guilt is the same as love, remember this truth. Love never manipulates. Love never demands your destruction. God calls us to serve with willing hearts, not fearful ones. When pressure replaces peace, wisdom tells us to slow down and seek the Father's direction. So when tomorrow arrives, refuse to let urgency become your master. Before making any important decision, whisper a simple prayer. Lord, if this path comes from you, give me peace. If it does not, give me the courage to walk away. Sometimes that small prayer becomes the very shield God uses to protect his children from unnecessary pain. Stay with me because what happens next may explain why this season has felt so unusual. There is a reason heaven has been preparing your heart, and before this message ends, you'll understand why God's timing has never been late, even when it felt silent. There is something many people never realize until years have passed. The greatest battles are not always loud. They often arrive disguised as ordinary moments. That is why Jesus repeatedly encouraged his followers to stay awake in spirit. The danger is not always found in obvious darkness. Sometimes it hides behind attractive promises, familiar faces, or opportunities that seem impossible to refuse. Think back over your own journey. How many times have you rescued people who never learned to stand on their own? How often did you empty your wallet, sacrifice your schedule, or ignore your own exhaustion because someone convinced you that without your help everything would collapse? You gave because your heart reflected God's kindness, but somewhere along the way people began expecting what was once freely given. God is not asking you to stop loving people. He is teaching you the difference between compassion and captivity. There is a powerful difference. Compassion lifts others while still honoring God's wisdom. Captivity traps you in endless responsibility until your own soul grows weary. The next situation that comes toward you may sound urgent. Someone could say, "I only need this one favor." Another person may remind you of everything you've done together in the past. Someone else might even tell you that you're the only person they can trust. Those words may sound harmless, but listen beyond the sentences. Is there peace or is there pressure? Is there freedom or is there fear? The Bible reminds us that God is not the author of confusion. When heaven opens a door, his peace walks through it first. Even difficult assignments from God carry an inner confidence that cannot be explained. But counterfeit opportunities often leave your heart unsettled before your mind understands why. Pay attention to your first reaction, before logic begins making excuses. Your spirit often notices what your eyes cannot see. If your heart suddenly feels heavy, if your stomach tightens, or if something quietly whispers, "Wait," don't silence that voice. Pray first. God sometimes protects his children through gentle warnings that the world calls intuition, but faithful believers recognize as spiritual discernment. For years you may have ignored those quiet warnings because you were afraid of disappointing people. You believed saying "no" meant you were selfish. But God never called his children to be controlled by guilt. Even Jesus stepped away from crowds when it was time to pray. He loved deeply, yet he never allowed urgency to replace obedience to his Father. Perhaps this is the season where your boundaries become an act of worship. Every time you choose wisdom instead of pressure, you honor the God who entrusted your life to you. Every peaceful no makes room for a greater yes that heaven has already prepared. Don't be surprised if some people become uncomfortable when you stop carrying burdens they should have been carrying themselves. Not everyone celebrates healthy boundaries. Those who benefited from your constant sacrifice may question your decisions. Some may even accuse you of changing. In truth, you are changing. God is healing you. Healing often looks strange to people who were comfortable with the old version of you. But don't let their disappointment become your direction. Let God's voice remain louder than every opinion around you. Before tomorrow ends, you may have an opportunity to practice this new strength. If someone pressures you for an immediate answer, take a breath before responding. There is no shame in saying, "I need time to pray about this." Those simple words create space for wisdom to speak. Anyone who genuinely cares about you will respect your need to seek God's guidance. Anyone who becomes angry because you paused may reveal more than they intended. Sometimes a delay is not rejection. Sometimes it is divine protection. Keep watching carefully, because there is another truth you need to understand. Once you recognize how the false opportunity works, you will also begin recognizing the quiet ways God confirms the path that truly belongs to you. Type yes if you believe in God. Type 1111 if you believe in God.